I watched this documentary on Miles Davis on Netflix. And what I found so interesting that relates to what you're talking about is throughout his whole career of playing jazz, he constantly surrounded himself with people who were creative in this space and not so rigid. And so his music continued to evolve all the way through until the late 80s, early 90s. I mean, it's just like crazy I had no idea, right? Because
Yeah.
when I think about Miles Davis, I think about this one particular record that he made, but he had continued to make music, through the 50s to the 60s to the 70s to the 80s, and his common theme was just the willingness to change.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I think that is something that is a parallel that runs through all different careers and paths in your life. And also, it's just like a breath of fresh air to constantly be challenging your programming,
Yeah.
essentially, that you have that's been, built over thousands and thousands of years.
100%. And the thing is, like, no one likes change. I, I don't like I don't like change. But the thing about it is, I know change has always resulted in better results, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I hate sounding cliche, but it really is all those cliche terms and those words. There's so much truth to it, because when change happens, it forces you to get uncomfortable, and no one wants to get uncomfortable. When you're in sports, that forces you in a lot of circumstances to be in uncomfortable situations. And you can either choose to rise or think that you're better than it and you don't have to get there. But the thing is, though, the best figure out that they need to get there. They need to feel that they need to get that uncomfortableness out of them to learn and to grow. Change is hard. Learning something new is hard. No one wants to do it. Like, if someone today was like, hey, I have a brand new Mac and it has all these things and could help alleviate all these things for you, do you want it? I'd be like, I'm pretty good with my PC. like I know how to use my PC very well. Like, I don't need a Mac, but like, maybe that MacBook might alleviate a lot of pain points that I'm going through right now. But because, like, I'm nervous to accept this new change, I'm holding myself back from growing.
Yeah.
And it's just something I try to challenge people all the time, because as you get older, and I mean, we're not that old, but as you get older, you're able to recognize and pinpoint people who have lived a very comfortable life
Yeah.
and have never challenged themselves, have never stepped outside their comfort zone, because they never needed it.
Mm-hmm.
But you can certainly see why they're here and can never get themselves to get here. We were fortunate enough when we played sports young, that we had coaches that would have to push us to get there, right? So you either
Mm-hmm.
step up or you don't. And more than likely you step up because you got your teammates with you, right? You want
Right.
to be your teammates. But there comes a point where you don't have someone that's pushing you, right? There, you
Mm-hmm.
don't have someone that's like, to be the best, Francesca, you need to do X, Y, and Z. Well, no, I'm a freaking adult now. Now I need to figure out, what is X, Y, and Z? And do I like X, Y, and Z? Do I need to go look at another X, Y, and Z? Like,
Right.
so many different things that as an adult can, like, really hold you back from tapping into your greatness. So it's important that we become our own self coaches and that we have to self motivate ourselves. Am I talking too much?
No, absolutely
Okay.
not. No, as you're talking, my wheels are spinning. Like something that you
Good.
touched on in terms of like when you're drawing comparisons, you're asking yourself the questions. And I have thought about this talking with different people and just seeing how coaching has kind of evolved from a sport where we figured things out to like we're being told the
Mm-hmm.
right and wrong way. And I think we're starting to come back to like, what are the core questions we need to be asking ourselves? And to your point, as we get older, that is what we have to continue to do. Like every
Yeah.
single day is be curious about how can we improve this whole process of being a working mom and doing X, Y, and Z and still being able to kill it in my job. Like, what are some areas in my life that I need to like shave off time to create more time for this thing that's really important for me? And
And you know what? Oh,
curiosity
sorry.
and questioning is so important on a daily basis.
And I feel like the things that hold people back from getting to that like self-realization is it's pride and laziness. More so pride. So it's so easy for us to quickly in our mind go, why do I need to do that? Like I've already accomplished this. I already accomplished that by doing it this way, right? Like I've already done all of this. Like I don't need this new person telling me this. Whether it's a new like adjustment in your swing or a new thing to like help get my daughter to listen to me or a new tactic like in my job, like people are always trying to throw ideas on you, probably to help. Sometimes people just want to talk just to talk.
Yeah,
Like
you know.
that's certainly true, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's where we can become a sponge, right? We can become a sponge and absorb it, but then we can also like squeeze out the crappy shit advice that someone gives
Yeah.
us. But predominantly it's our pride that holds us back from changing because we think that we already know this and we've already done a good job at this, or that's not a priority for me, so I don't really need to do that. Where in reality, like if it's going to better you and your life, like your quality of life, it should be a priority for you.
Mm-hmm. I think also an element of insecurity too,
Yeah.
because I know what I know, and just being afraid to stretch and expand in fear of like losing what I already know works. And,
Yeah.
I think that can also come into play.
I I hate it and I love it. My boss, whom Vanessa Laughlin, anytime she reads a new book, listens to a new podcast, like
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm getting a phone call of how
Yeah.
we're going to start changing things again. And I'm like, and instantly I'm always like, dang it. Like, I don't want to do this right now. Like I'm like in my flow, like I'm in my rhythm, like I'm
Yeah.
good. But homegirl always comes to the table with some like kick ass stuff. So
Yeah.
it's like, adapt, accept, listen, just listen. No one's
Yeah.
telling anyone like, oh, here's a great idea, like change into it. No way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but listen to it, because maybe out of the 20 words that this one person says, you take one thing from it and that betters you.
Right.
And that's always like my goal. Like anytime I'm learning something, which is, I'll be honest, it's not very often. Like I'm not someone that sits on podcasts often, or if I read a book, it's like love mystery book. So like I'm that lame. I'm that lame mom. I'll call
Yeah.
myself out for it. So that's why I think that's why when people bring things to my table, I have such an open mind and I want to like really hear what they have to say.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's someone that I know, the stuff they bring to the table is usually like dog poop, but I'll still
Yeah.
listen to it because maybe it's working for them and maybe it's something that I can pick up on.
Yeah. Listening is such a hard skill, and one that's not generally valued. Like, you don't see too many classes on how to become a better listener, but there are a ton on how to become a better hitter.